Hello and welcome in to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood. Both Pomp and Richie are still making their way back from Ireland, so I will be your host tonight to talk all things Steelers Vikings. We'll also talk a little bit of Pirates, played their final game today. Of course, a big weekend this weekend over at PPG Paints as well. Fleury's final time skating on the ice here in Pittsburgh. So lots to get into. I'm joined alongside this wonderful panel, Mark Kaboly, Ray Fittipaldo, and Jeff Hathhorn. Awesome, guys. Thanks for joining me tonight.
You think Richie and Bob are still out at like 4:30 in the morning over there?
You know what? I mean, the videos and pictures look so fun. I'm definitely jealous that I'm not over there.
Because his hair would be a hit there, right?
Oh, yeah. Did you see the picture of him in the Guinness? Richie?
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, they nailed that hair.
Was that a leprechaun?
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. All right, guys, so Steelers squeak out that win today, 24-21. Although the score doesn't really depict what actually happened in this game, I would say it's safe to say the Steelers pretty much dominated those first three quarters and then got outscored 15-3 in that final quarter. So Jeff, we'll start with you. Just what did you see out of the offense? Anything positive through those first three quarters?
Yeah, running game.
Yeah.
The running game we've been waiting for. we saw 131 yards, I think total, 99 from Gainwell. Made it far and away eclipsed what they had done in any of their previous games. And you saw how Rodgers was able to stay on schedule for the most part because of that run game. That's what impressed me.
Yeah, that was really important because Brian Flores brings a variety of blitz packages, and by staying in second and third and manageable, he was never really able to get to those. But what can you say about Gainwell? I mean, that guy, we've known it because we watch practice in training camp, but for him to come in for Jaylen Warren the way he did, we knew he was a very good receiver, but for him to show that patience today, setting up those blocks, it was very impressive.
Man, we're burying the lead here, aren't we? Shouldn't we be talking about the offensive line and forget the running game? Throw anybody back there. That offensive line for the first time all season finally lived up to somewhat of an expectation. And I'm not even talking about what we might think that they were able to do. They were physical, and you saw that on a number of plays of being able to push some guys around, and that's why Gainwell was able to rush for 99 yards, and why they were able to stay on schedule. And who thought that was going to happen, especially, Ray, against, a monstrous defensive line?
Yeah. Spencer Anderson came in, played about half the game, I think. Darnell Washington had 3 times as many snaps as Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth. So they went with heavy personnel. Yeah. I think they know they needed that to get the running game going. So, yeah,
fullback too.
That was fun to watch.
And there was no personal fouls, which has been kind of their, Achilles heel after the last few games, and especially last season.
They played physical through the whistle, and to your guys' point, I mean, they played jumbo, but I mean, I do want to give credit to Gainwell because he came here on a 1-year deal. He had backed up Saquon Barkley last year and thought, I want to go prove it somewhere. And then Warren's playing really well. He kept at it. He got his opportunity, and he made the most of it because of the line and what they did and what the tight ends did. But he still made the most of it. And we saw multiple rushing touchdowns. It was like, wow, this is the balanced offense that, Arthur Smith has been talking about all year.
Also, Caleb Johnson did get into this game. I was kind of shocked last game when he got completely benched. I thought he was maybe going to get sat out on the kick returns, but he actually played some snaps today. I mean, Ray, what do you think about him?
Yeah, he had 1 9-yard run, set him up for a second and short. I think he had 22 yards on 6 carries. So, they needed him to come in and spell Kenneth Gainwell, but this was Gainwell's game.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in there from the jump, and he controlled that.
I'm wondering if Gainwell didn't have any early success if they would have went to Caleb Johnson after that. Once they saw Gainwell being able to be so successful with those runs early in the first quarter, that's where you pretty much had to ride with him. And to your point, Jeff, they brought in Gainwell. It was a third down back. I mean, this is a guy that's never had more than, a handful of carries in a game in his career. I'm sure, I didn't look at it, but I'm sure that's the most he's had in here. And I don't think you viewed him as a feature back. You viewed him as a third down back, a guy who's able to block, but give him credit. But, man, Broderick Jones played well. Mason McCormick played well. They went with Hayward as fullback. They used Darnell Washington, the tush push.
Well, and how many of us after that first play were just like, oh, man, sack on the first play. It seemed like a miscommunication on who was getting who, and then they came back after that and did the job. And they had some time of possession. I mean, they did the things you want to see from a Steeler offense.
And it opened up the pass game. We finally saw DK. I mean, that was explosive. 80-yard touchdown. Very impressive by him. He hit over 20 miles an hour on that run, by the way. I mean, I could not imagine running over 20 miles an hour, but it was really nice finally seeing him do well and get into the end zone.
I think Peyton Wilson hit 21 and a half, didn't he?
He hit 22 and a half.
22 and a half.
How about a match race, Peyton Wilson, DK Metcalf during the bye week?
And like I said, I was saying this online. Imagine if he had 2 ACLs, Peyton Wilson, then how fast he would be. But boy, I mean, how impressive you've been with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe not throwing the ball. He hasn't. I mean, the arm. He's lost something. He's not 2020 Aaron Rodgers anymore. But just how he comports himself and how he has that energy. Of everybody believing has just been extremely impressive.
Well, even throwing the ball, I mean, how many passes do you see behind receivers? I mean, on that play to Metcalf, he led him perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, how many times in the last few years we see guys have to wait or something behind them or they couldn't get it in stride? And, yeah, he has been. I mean, he's been efficient. He hasn't taken a ton of chances. You know, he throws it away when it's not there, and even rushed for a first down and then allowed Broderick to rush for 6 yards on that
Drilled somebody
lateral
on the
back.
block, too. He drilled the linebacker on the block. But just past the throwing, I just think everything else, the intangibles have been out of sight.
Yeah, I don't think this is on Rodgers, but he staked the team to big leads the past 2 weeks. They got to find a way to close games better.
True.
That game today shouldn't have been that close, but I don't necessarily blame Aaron Rodgers for that.
Yeah, no, and we will get to that and get to that fourth quarter because, man, it was a mess. 15-3, they got outscored. All right, guys, like I said, we're going to talk about the defensive side of the ball and much, much more right after this. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm your host, Cassidy Wood, joined alongside my wonderful panel tonight. And guys, we just spent time talking about the offensive side of the ball. Now let's talk about the defensive side. You know, it looked really promising there. TJ Watt gets an interception. Nick Herbig was very impressive. But like I said, that fourth quarter got outscored 15-3. The defense had a few mistakes. Granted, that secondary got a little banged up, but you just don't like to see that. They can never make it easy. This team can never make it easy.
Totally unacceptable, that Addison play.
Yeah.
100%. You cannot allow that to happen, regardless of the situation, let alone in that situation, to be able to go, 75 yards and put him right back in the game. I don't even want to hear communication errors. I'm tired of the excuses. You cannot let that happen right there at that point in the game to let them back in the game. There were some other questionable decisions they've had. I just can't wait till they get healthy. I mean, let's see what they are when they are fully healthy. Are they ever going to get fully healthy? And then there will be no excuses. But I see why people are upset why that last play, because you just can't let that happen.
Well, Joey Porter should be back after the bye week. He should be good for the Browns game. We'll see about Jalen Ramsey. That didn't seem too serious. But I don't care if you have injuries or not. You cannot continue to have the communication errors that they've had. This most recent one led to the big play. Tomlin said they're in big nickel. They're playing 3 safeties. To me, that doesn't matter either. Just communicate. Have a deep guy on each side of the field, and you wouldn't be in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, you have enough veteran guys like this communications. It's not like there's a bunch of rookies out there. Now, that being said, you mentioned Peyton Wilson. I mean, that play, not only did he stop him at the one, he burned a minute. It was a minute 13 that they had to burn there. And imagine if they would have had that at the end of the game, this may have been, you may be looking at a Vikings win, and the Steelers really ticked off about, what happened defensively. So that was a heck of a play by him, but there are too many of those mistakes. That being said, they are making plays. Like they're creating havoc. There's different guys making plays. Keanu Benton had his best game of the year, best game maybe of his career in what he did today. I mean, they had different guys that were making plays.
Not only that, Jeff, wasn't Kevin O'Connell supposed to just mess with Arthur or mess with TA's mind? Wasn't that the narrative going in here? And up until that final, 5 or 6 minutes of the game, I think Terrell Austin got the best of them, and flip side too. So so much for that narrative of the Steelers getting grossly out-coached. Well, I mean, minus the last 4 minutes.
And speaking of coaching decisions, I mean, what did you guys make of that 4th and 1?
Well, to me, the biggest, I had the issue with going for it down near the goal line. I think you go up 13 in that situation, and then you take away that situation where you could have a touchdown and a field goal to tie the game. I thought that was the wrong decision. And the second aspect of that decision, if you are going to go for it, put the ball in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly.
Don't just run.
You took the words right out of my mouth right there. If you're making that decision to go for it on that play, was it 4th and 4? Was it 4th and 4?
4th and
2, I think.
1.
And you're just handing the ball off. I understand what they're thinking. You want to burn clock by going whatever, 70 yards or whatever. But you got to throw the ball in that instance.
Well, and I get Tomlin trusts his defense a little bit more than his offense most of the time. But in a game like this, the offense, I mean, it was heating up. It was grooving. Like, I feel like at that point, you got to let the offense kind of take over in that moment.
Listen, on the 4th and 1, I mean, they have a tush-push play. Like,
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
Use it. And it seemed like there was confusion.
It didn't work?
Well, Connor Hayward got 2 yards on it, and
I thought one of the tush pushes didn't work. No?
No, Hayward's got 2 yards.
He got 2
So
yards.
why not do that again? Like, I understand they don't like the play, but if
Yeah.
the play is legal and you can get a first down, get a first down there.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. The one down by the goal line, like, let Aaron do something with it. I mean, we've talked about the jump ball ability of both DK and Darnell and other options you might have, or maybe do something where you flip something out to Gainwell instead of running them between the tackles.
What's the worst thing that can happen? You incomplete pass and you get the ball on the 4-yard line. Same as running
clock
the ball.
stops anyway.
Same running the ball. Same thing.
to me, they discovered something with the tush push. I mean, who's going to stop Connor Hayward when you got Darnell Washington, 300 pounds, Ben Skoranek pushing him forward? To me, that's a positive. They hadn't shown a tush push yet. It's been 3 years since it's been in vogue. Finally, they're doing it. I was pleased to see that.
How about Skoranek? A couple of special teams tackle, drew that penalty.
So what
He
you're
went down
saying,
like,
Jeff,
he went down
is
like a stuntman.
you have to have people like Ben Skoranek if you want to win a championship. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what I came up with that? So
Oh my gosh, yeah. All in all, though, a Steelers win. I mean, did you guys predict this score? I know we talked, Jeff, and I think a lot of people had the Vikings winning this one.
I mean, I'll admit, I thought the Vikings were going to win. I was surprised. I was surprised with how physical they were at the line of scrimmage, okay?
Yeah.
And happy with the run game and what they were able to do there. I didn't think they'd be able to establish that. I was worried about Brian Flores, but I think they did a good job offensively. So, yeah, I picked the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's 4 monster defensive lines they've had to go against now in a row. You hope it evens out a little bit here. But once Jalen Warren was ruled out, I was like, nah, they're done.
Yeah.
I switched it then. Probably should have stayed with my initial gut there, but I didn't think Kenny Gainwell was going to do what he did.
Yeah, and it's so impressive and promising for the future for sure. All right, guys, we are going to head to our next break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Flory, a little Pirates, just some other Pittsburgh sports. So stick around. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. I'm your host tonight, Cassidy Wood, joined alongside this wonderful panel. Whoa. All right, guys, we're going to talk some college football, though, because, man, we watched some crazy games this weekend. Pitt and Louisville, obviously, WVU and Utah, and then the Penn State-Oregon game. So let's start it with the biggest one, Penn State-Oregon. This was a game we were all talking about all week long, and I think it definitely lived up to the hype. It was a lot slower of a start than I think anyone anticipated. I don't think anyone knew that they'd go into halftime tied at 3. But what were your guys' takeaways from that one? Jeff, we'll start with you.
I mean, I think Penn State was a wee bit conservative offensively in that game. I understand, you're allowing your defense, you don't want to make a mistake, but I think sometimes in big games, especially for coaches that haven't won the big games, they play not to lose. Mm-hmm. And you kind of got that feeling until they had to kind of let it loose, and all of a sudden you saw Penn State. Now, Oregon's defense was probably a little bit different, but you saw them move the ball and score some points because they had to. Well, where was that mentality earlier? It's almost like, well, we don't want to make a mistake. Well, you've got a quarterback that's been there 15 years. Allow him to go back there and make some plays, and if he can't, well, then you figure something out. And I think they kind of screwed that up, and of course, Aller didn't play great.
Yeah. I was really impressed with Oregon's coach Lanning. I mean, he beat Penn State last year in the conference championship game, and I don't even know if that game gets tied if the officials didn't call that bogus penalty on that offensive lineman where he got called for basically unsportsmanlike conduct. So to me, they controlled that game, and once again, we're sitting here, we're talking about James Franklin coming up short in a big game.
4-21 now against Power 5.
I mean, it's not pretty. this game doesn't have to define their season, but it seems like it might define their season.
I really do feel bad for Drew Aller. I do. I know he's the one that made the horrible throw at the end that cost him the game. He is also the one that led him on 2 touchdowns to tie the game. But when's the next time they're going to actually spend some money on a wide receiver? We'll spend some money. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Go get themselves a wide receiver as well. And, you know, the defense didn't have to allow Oregon just to go and score right away in overtime either. Okay, Aller had a terrible throw, had a terrible 3 quarters, but it's far from all his fault.
Yeah. Now we'll switch gears over to Pitt and Louisville over in Acrisure. 17-0, Pitt was up and then blew that lead. Eli Holstein ends up getting benched in the 4th quarter. So yet again, just not what you want to see out of this Pitt football team, especially a team that brought back so many of its starters from last season. And Ray, I mean, what did you see out of that one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't blow a 17-0 lead at home, and they found a way to do that. They continue to blow big leads. It's just become a hallmark of Pat Narduzzi's tenure. And it's not a good situation down there. They got to find a way to stop the bleeding. Last year, they let this little, streak snowball, and it ended up, they ended up losing 6 or 7 to end the season. They better be careful now that this doesn't snowball again on them, because that was a bad loss.
You could probably answer this better than anybody, Jeff. When was the last time they lost on a special teams just collapsed like they did? And that's what it was. That's what it was.
I still don't understand the call there, that he was blocked into when there was no one around him and he ran into the receiver. And I still don't get that, but you can still rebound from, even if you give up that touchdown, you still don't have to give up the next 10 points and all of a sudden it's 17-17. I mean, they gave Louisville 3 possessions in their territory, one at the 3-yard line, the other at the 30, one at the 25. And in the second half, the offense was, they weren't even existing. Yeah. They had 4 first downs in the second half. Eli was bad. Yeah. And now they've got a quarterback question. Because Eli here's the guy who led epic comebacks against Cincinnati and West Virginia, and you pull him for a guy who played at Western Carolina last year. So I don't want to hear that there's no quarterback issue. There's a quarterback
What do we talk about? What was that, a year ago, 2 years ago, if you might leave for the NFL early? I think that's pretty much solved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an issue, man. And let's call for what it's worth. He is not playing well and hasn't played well for about all but 3 of his career games?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah, it's not good. And Pitt has not beaten a Power 4 team, I believe, since October 24th of last year. So we're coming up on 1 full calendar year since they've been able to beat a Power 4 team, which is pretty crazy. You mentioned West Virginia, Jeff, and WVU also. Just terrible performance this weekend against Utah. Got completely blown out. I don't think they hit the end zone until they were already down 35-0.
I mean, that's what makes the backyard brawl loss disappointing for Pitt fans, because West Virginia is not very good.
Yeah.
They won that game. They found a way to win that game. Rich can celebrate that win the rest of the season, and he's fine. But they're not a very good team. They have so many new players. They've got youth. Talk about communication with the Steelers. I mean, they've got guys that are coming from all kinds of different programs that they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, there's not much hope for West Virginia this season.
Yeah.
Hope is dimming on Pitt. The one team that you could almost still get excited about is Penn State. I still think they have a chance to turn their season around.
I thought you were going to say Duquesne. But
no, it is still, you're right, it's all there for Penn State.
It's all there.
And one loss doesn't kill you anymore.
But the thing about West Virginia is you got Narduzzi, you got Franklin's been around, a decade, both of them. At least Rich Rod's in the early process of rebuilding. So at least
he's the oldest one of the 3.
Yeah. He has somewhat of an excuse. 1 year, I guess. Well, all right, guys, we're going to head to our next break, but stick around. We have a lot more to talk about right after this. Welcome back. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, don't settle for anything less than #1 Cochran Kia's clearly better car buying experience. Enjoy exclusive clear-cut pricing where you get their most competitive offer up front. Take advantage of exceptional lease and finance rates and choose from a lineup of nearly 200 new models. Experience clearly better car buying at #1 Cochran Kia in-store or online at cochrankia.com. Welcome back again, guys. Again, I'm your host, Cassidy Wood, joined alongside this wonderful panel. And guys, we had a great weekend too, kind of on the ice, off the football field, but over at PPG Paints, a farewell to Flory. And Jeff, I know you were there too, just taking all of that in, the chance, the 1 more year chance and all of that. Just what was that like?
It was perfect. I mean, the practice was awesome, where they were talking back and forth to each other. It was like, we don't know what this season's going to be. Expectations aren't high. But to see these 4 guys that won 3 Stanley Cups get one more time on the ice together, and knowing all the things that Fleury has done on and off the ice, I think it was perfect.
Kudos to Kyle Dubas for setting that up. That was a nice touch.
So this is the 4th time he said goodbye? Fourth
It's funny because he said that after we said, I'm kind of embarrassed that I've gone too many laps saying goodbye, but.
Yeah, the sad thing is he's probably their best goalie right now.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
He
he did apparently make the joke. Someone asked him, what's your advice to these young goaltenders coming up? And he said, well, you better be good because I might take your job. Yeah. So, I mean, he did say that in the funny way.
But he also said he's going to be limping for 2 days after playing in that one period.
Yeah, because he was asked, are you going to listen to the fans and maybe come back? And no, he said he's done.
But how many times do you get to see that? You get to see your hero come back on the ice and play in a game that doesn't matter anyway. So
it might be the only game that's sold out this year.
Yeah.
Seriously.
All right. Great experience. All right, guys, we're going to head to our last break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Thank you guys so much for joining me, Mark, Ray, and Jeff. This was a great night. Hey, it's always easy to do the show after a Steelers win. We'll be back next week, same place, same time.